Creating a case with the forensics report is simple and very intuitive. The first time you will use the program, a wizard is prompted to follow you in the first steps. First of all, you need to define the language you are going to use in your final reports and in the program itself. Right now, the program is already available in English, Arabic, Spanish, Croatian, Italian, and Russian. Once you decided the language you want to use, you are required to enter the active license. As you can see, I've already have added my active license, and please note, you need to inform the SecurCube team if you would like to use the program in an offline or online machine in order to obtain the correct license and use the correct filling area. In fact, if you are using an offline machine, you need to inform SecurCube, and SecurCube will provide you with the offline license that you are going to use this specific button. If you are working with an online machine, you simply notify SecurCube about it, and they will send you the correct license. So we proceed, and we are required to define the folder in which we are going to save all our data and cases. So in these cases will be automatically in documents, SecurCube forensic case, the name of the folder that is going to be created. And by proceeding, we can define the examiner. So from here you can write it down, your information. You can decide your color. For instance, the orange one is your color, so you are going to use this one, and everything in your final report, so the paragraph, the content, and so on will be in orange. You can add the email and the label, the link, for instance, the link to the website. You can modify your logo, and by checking from here you can see the first page in which the information about the examiner will be shown. So the first thing will be the examiner logo, then we are going to have the email, the website, the full case name, main person, client, appointment date. So if we want to move down, for instance, the logo, we just are going to move it on the bottom of the page. We can modify this area, like correcting something, or by modifying the type of evidence, the type of analysis that we usually perform, if we do not perform the analysis of digital devices, but anything else that we usually work with in our lab, and we save the page. Anytime that we are going to use the program, if we close some of the pages without saving, clicking the dedicated button to save the modification, by closing the window, the program will ask us if we want to save what we have done until now. So it will always be that everything is applied. We can proceed, and we start by creating the case. So to create the case, we can select the type of the case that we are going to work with. So here, by opening the drop-down menu, we have a series of options to select, such as criminal proceeding, civil proceeding, data extraction, and this is super important, as we also see in the first video. The program is completely customizable by the end user, so also this area, so also the suggestions that we are going to see here on the case type, we are going to see later on other videos how to modify and customize those suggestions area, and how to make and create our own program according to our actually analysis and lab. So we are going to, with the criminal proceeding, we are going to add a case name. We can select the template we need to use for this specific case. So for now we just have one template. So if we need to create different templates for each type of cases, it is possible to do it. We are going to see later. And so for now we go with the default one, the location and the client. Okay, start date, by default it will take into consideration the day that we are using the program. We can also skip this case creation, or of course fill in this information, then keep on adding additional data as we have done, and we finish. We have created our case. As you can see, it is placed here. In let me say, the other times that you are going to use the program in which you already follow this wizard, the first interface that you are going to see is this one. And to create a new case, we are going to click this button here, in which we have all the data that we are going to fill for this new case. So let's open it wider. So as you see, we still have the case name, the examiner that we have used before, and we created a type of the case. We can define the jurisdiction, so we can say that is an investigation. The client, we have already added the information. Custom task list. Also, in this case, according to the type of the activities that we should do, and according to the type of the case that we are working with, we may have different type of task that we need to perform to our evidence. So at the time of the creation of the case, we can select the task list that we need to use for that specific case, and this is going to be super useful at the time of the analysis by defining if all the needed activities are performed. Assignment date, end date, so the last date in which we have a disposal to conclude and perform the analysis. In here we can upload some images and PDF in order to provide into our final report the information about the assignment documentation that the client requested us for the analysis. So for instance, it can be like this. These are all my assignment documentation, and this will be included into my final report. That's perfect. All the case information are fine, so we can proceed and see in specific the request details. The request details in the specific, we are redirected to a window that is pretty much similar to a Word document, in which we have all the main tools, the copy and paste, the format painter, the font, the dimension of the characters, and so on, together with some levels that we need to apply in the page itself. So then here we have also the shortcode to use. So according to each shortcode, then we are going to see exactly the information that we have decided. So if in the request details we can, for instance, add the client, we go back here, requested the analysis of the evidence in the specific drug content in all conversation and photos. So by using all the tools that we have at disposal in this area, we are going to define the request that the client is asking us to search for in the evidence that we have for the analysis. So from here we are going to list and explain everything that the client is requesting us. So this is a simple example, but of course and many times the requests are pretty much more complicated. With the insert we can also apply tables, pictures, for instance some pictures that we have about the assignment documentation with the specific information and some additional option. By proceeding on this tab, we are going to move on the persons. On persons, we can actually easily document the chain of custody of the evidence and the commissioner hierarchy. So we start with the appointment hierarchy. So from here we are going to define the prosecutor officer 1. Role is a public minister. The company is a public ministry of Rome. And this is our client. So this is actually the person that is requesting for the analysis. This client is appointing us. So SacreCube investigator as technical advisor from SacreCube appointed by the client, and we save. So this is the hierarchy in this assignment for the analysis of the evidence. While for the chain of custody it will be different, of course, and most of the time the evidence are obtained by the judicial police. So we are going to write when we are provided with the evidence by all the information. Mr. Policeman 1, role as a judicial police of Rome, and we have no appointed. Receiver is SacreCube investigator. Role technical advisor. Company is SacreCube, and we save. Description: provided with smartphones, and we can also apply some attachments such as PDF and images of the evidence. We save and we create the first step of the chain of custody. Of course, once we are going to conclude our analysis, we are going to create a new field by informing the returning of the evidence to the policeman by our side. So in this way, by defining all the movements and documenting the chain of custody of the evidence, we are able to track all the evidence movements, identifying every person who came in contact with the evidence and to locate its last position. Okay, and then by proceeding we have the storage devices. Also in this case we are going to form into our final report where the extracted evidence data are stored. In this case we can provide some option as storage devices. Of course, here you can see hard disk, pen drive, DVD, CD, NAS, and these are the type of storage devices that we usually provide according to the type of evidence, considering that they are digital evidence, we provide to the person that they need them to maybe follow the analysis, check what has been extracted, and so on. So according to the type of storage devices, if you provide it or not, and so on, from here, of course, and as mentioned before, this area is completely customizable, so we can also switch and modify the information, and also write it manually the type of storage devices that you provide, or anyway what you provide with the evidence. So we have one hard disk, we usually have one storage devices, and we can create some copies. Usually here we have a safe copy that it will be stored and no one is going to use it, and a working copy in which usually it can be used for the verification of what has been extracted and so on. So these are the type of storage devices that we are going to provide. And finally, the last tab, we have the nodes. So as you can see also here, I hope you can see it, it is written that this field will not be exported to the final report. So it means that everything you write in this area will not be placed in your final report. So it can be nodes with phone numbers and so on. So everything will keep all together about this case, but in this case this is not going to be placed in the final report. So on the next video we are going to follow to the use of the program.